Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for being here. We got a lot of great footage when we sat down with Stacey, and I'm just gonna have to break it up into different sections because I don't have the heart to cut any of it out. She's so great, and I love hearing her perspective, and it helped me so much process some things. I can't wait to share it with you. I'm definitely not trying to sell you anything, so please don't think that. But as I was looking at pictures to go with this video, I remembered some room spray that we had when I would poop in my diaper and stink up the room, and I'm actually going to link it in the description. If you'd like to help us out, click the link, buy it. It'd be a great Christmas present. Makes the room smell amazing. I know from experience. But otherwise, I've just been hanging out, recouping from my knee surgery. Hold on, I'll show you. I've really been enjoying reading all of your comments and connecting with people. It's been so great. I appreciate you all so much. I hope you enjoy this conversation with Stacey, but there will definitely be more to come.
When you were, they couldn't get you intubated because of your halo, and so then they started trying to fiddle around and get your crike, which ended up turning into a bit of a trach, which then had to go be formalized into an actual trach in the OR. But they put your EVD in at your bedside also, so she was getting all your stuff together, and so it took too long to get your airway, so your propofol wore off, and they got your nurse felt your hand move and was like, oh my god, her hand's moving, and so then strung up your propofol and started it in what was probably like less than a minute's time. But all the noise that you heard, that was what was happening.
Yeah, you have no idea how just like having that piece of that makes me feel. It helps me try to like I can process it and like lay it down. Whereas like when you don't know, it's like you wake up in a nightmare and you don't understand and you don't know, and then like people leave comments and I don't know how to like respond because I don't know. I just know what my experience was, which is obviously not the full
which for you
picture.
Is atypical every single time.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just kept dying, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
God, that's gonna take me a minute. I feel kind of validated because I just knew that, I knew what it took for me to move my finger. I will never forget how hard and how hard I worked to move a finger, and just to hear you say that they acknowledge like that everything that I experienced did happen. It was real. It was horrible. My places were mixed up. I thought I was in the OR, but I wasn't. But it happened, and I couldn't tell anybody for however long it was, and that was hard.
She remembers you trying to write some of that down and explain it to us.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, you were repeatedly trying to write it with that right hand.
That right hand.
We can only get bits and pieces.
She really rallied. Like I'll never get over figuring out that you were left-handed and not right-handed.
Yeah.
Which made it a lot easier to understand why it was so scribbly. But the fact that it was like you're writing with, I couldn't write with my left hand if I tried. Because I'm right-handed.
And she's doing it after a half a gallon propofol.
Yeah.
I don't know if you even remember or not, but you had a conversation with me not once, but twice. You were the one that, we had that conversation, you're like, hey, you need to see what's going on here. Because the Alexis had got above nipple line. And there were 2 different times that she reminded me that, you know, there's a chance this is not going to go well, not because of anything else, but it's just a pneumonia.
So I had
And you showed up, you damn COVID lungs, and then you had to
They
go
were
through all that.
garbage.
So I had
And once
the
you got reintubated on the trach, your lungs started clogging up like concrete.
I had the AOD, which should have killed me.
Mhm.
Then we had the hydrocephalus, which miraculously somehow did not die that day.
Yeah.
And then after that was the lungs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had already fixed them once because you aspirated when you had your wreck, and they were garbage-y when you got there. But you rallied on that one. But that second one, it was rough.
And was that just like ventilator pneumonia type
Yeah.
situation?
She actually apologized to me. She said, I don't know if I should tell you this, but I think you're the kind of person I can. You need to know this is not going well.
Yeah.
This week's going to tell the tale.
I didn't know if you'd make it. I mean, I really didn't. Again.
Yeah, again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's, I've actually like lost my train of thought. I'm so like, just you putting that piece of that
This is not what we
puzzle.
thought we were going to talk about.
I know. This is like not even what we were gonna talk about tonight, but having that piece of that puzzle, it helps. It because people have questions that I necessarily can't answer, but that doesn't mean what I experienced didn't happen.
No, it happened.
You know, but just to hear you say, yes, they acknowledged you were moving your finger, like it happened, it was real.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy.
Mm-mm. I can't imagine your perspective and your feelings and I mean, I watched you feel the way you felt and try to work through it in the moment, but I can't imagine like what it's like to think back
Yeah.
on how bleak it just
Yeah.
all day, every day in that halo. You
Yeah.
couldn't move. I mean, everybody had to get to where you could see them. I mean, it was just
Couldn't really communicate.
no.
Yeah.
It's a big pile of suck.
Yeah.
Sad but funny. Her take on them, even with the external fixator, when she get frustrated, go kicking them legs.
Hey, tying into that, after all that went south the way it did, best I remember, you would know more. Between that and I remember I would fall asleep for 5 minutes and wake up panicking, thinking, and so like
Angry.
I was like spiraling. And the combination of all of those things, I feel like was when I really started to decline mentally. I got in a very, very, very bad place.
The day you got so mad and threw the marker at me was because you woke up after about 7 minutes and you were furious with me because I had let you sleep for 24 hours and you got me right there with that marker. You remember that? The black dot? Yeah. You've been asleep for 7 minutes. You thought I let you sleep for 24 hours and you were furious.
Well, hell, you've been asleep less than that when you tried to break up with me over suctioning you.
That was hilarious.
That was great.
Well, we got to tell that story because then I want to say what I want to say about you. I would fall asleep briefly and wake up in a panic because, and I don't know why I would panic. Like, what does it matter if I was asleep for 24 hours? But I would wake up very panicky and in a tizzy, and I had issues being suctioned. Was I worse than most people, or is everybody?
No, everybody's that
okay.
way. Most people,
Because
most people aren't lucid though.
Mm.
Like I mean, I guess in other ICUs they are, but in my ICU, everybody's got a head injury except for you when they're laying there so long, and so everybody else is just kind of. I mean, they tolerate it way better. They don't.
Yeah.
I've never, this is probably not how you wanted me to talk about this, but to corroborate for those of you who have been respiratory therapists for ever how many years and have never seen a person do this before, I've been a nurse for 15 years and a paramedic for 10 before that, and I've never seen anybody who could talk over an ET tube and a tray until I met her, which is also atypical, but
See,
that's
I'm
her
not
style.
making it.
She's not making it up. It couldn't be more true. Like full words, full sentences, lots of swearing when she felt like it, all of it. But I mean,
if I was swearing though, y'all knew that was me.
oh yeah, no, that was
And
we
then
were
let me
just doing it
see
to
you
be
in
funny.
the ER the first time I walked in. You looked at me and said, "I'm so sorry." And I looked at that nurse. She said, "We've already checked the cuff. I swear."
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen it before or since, but yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what it feels like being suctioned. I can't
It's
imagine what it feels
horrible.
like breathing through a trach,
It's
for one thing.
the suction. It's like you know, like when you're swimming and you hold your breath and you're running, like you've got to get up now.
Yeah.
It's like that, and right when you go to take that breath you need, somebody sticks a vacuum down. Like it just, it's horrible. It's horrible,
Yeah.
and I had some guilt about, because I was aware that I didn't handle it well, and I kind of had some guilt about that. Felt guilty that I was intolerable or just difficult to deal with.
You shouldn't carry any guilt for that.
But
I mean,
it's
I
it's
would
terrible.
like to tell
Like we're
what she
taking the
was-
literal air that you're
Yeah.
breathing from you.
I would like to say what she was talking about a minute ago. I walked in every morning and everybody's laughing, cutting up, and Jimmy's standing by the bed smiling.
My dad.
I walked in this day and Jimmy's sitting over in a chair, staring at the floor. Stacy's propped up next to the counter and she looks at me and says, "Good morning," and turns her head. And you always smile at me when I come in, and you just, all you do is
Me?
stare at me when
Yeah.
I walk in. And I looked at Stacey and said, "What the hell's going on in here?" You said, "Apparently we're breaking up." I
No,
said,
she said that.
Yeah.
"That's what I said."
Yeah.
I said, "What the hell's going on?" She said, "Apparently we're breaking up." I said, "What is going on?" Because I mean, the air was thick when I walked out. I thought, this is not right.
So true.
So what had happened back to the story here, I needed to be suctioned, and Stacey woke me up but forgot something and had to step away for just a minute.
Well, there weren't any suction catheters in the room.
Okay.
I went to the counter and there weren't any, so I had to go to the supply room.
And
to get
in
them.
the time it took for her to go to the supply room and back, I fell asleep again, and she didn't realize it and started suctioning me while
and woke you up.
and woke
suctioning
me.
you.
So I was asleep. So from my perspective, I'm just sleeping and wake up to she comes up with this
hand, which was all she could move, and this arm over here and another leg, and I'm like, what? Oh, and she then just begins to bless me out for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Much to the discomfort of her father.
yeah, who was just in
Yeah.
between a rock and a hard place.
But I think also, to give perspective on our relationship from the previous 6 weeks before that, give or take, when you first were there and I took you to the OR and you came back, and I don't know if it was that week that we extubated you. I don't know the day that we extubated you, but it was the next day that you number 2'd in the bed for the first time.
I just wrote
And
about
so-
that. I will
Yeah.
link that. I did just write about that.
And then I don't know if you had been to get something to eat, or no, maybe it was when your dad got there that night. But either way, it was the one of the two of y'all walking in the room, and you're just in a way, and they're like, "What's wrong?" And you're like, "Well, this bitch just made me shit in the bed."
And you were livid about it.
To which I responded with, in not my best moments, "What were you gonna do? Get up and walk to the bathroom?" And then you said, and I said, "Did we just become best friends?" And I think we did.
I don't remember
Yeah.
that.
Oh, there's so
So that
many
was
of those.
sort of our relationship to begin with. So then, back to the original story of suctioning you awake, which you were not happy about, and I don't blame you for a second.
Yeah.
And so then, to answer his question, I'm like, well, I guess we're about to break up. This is all it took.
And that's like,
And your daddy was still staring at the floor like, I should
Oh.
probably be mad at her, but
I
I
can't.
mean, she didn't mean to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was speechless. He didn't know
Yeah.
what to say. He was
Well, but see, but in that situation, nobody wins because
No.
you didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong, but in my mind, what actually happened was not what my brain fault happen, so nobody's wrong, nobody wins.
No.
And that's what makes, in my opinion, why I bonded with Stacey so much, because not only are our personalities eerily similar, I feel like, but she let me throw a tantrum. She let me, if I needed to cuss her out or a neurosurgeon out,
Yeah.
you know, like, but we could have a little spat. She would give me the tough love I needed or the nurturing I needed, and we moved on, and it was the relationship that I needed. And I don't know if like other patients, you know, maybe with different personalities, if they like require different, you know, I don't know, but I just know for me, I got mentally, I think that's why I have such an attachment to you, because you took care of me mentally as well. And
As me.
and that's actually why she's here tonight, is to tell, we have not even got to the story yet.
That we were doing.
Yeah. Before we tell that story, I wanted to pull up the pictures because there were things I wanted to point out. But what makes her so special to me is that she recognized when I was spiraling, and because she had gotten to know me so well and know my husband, I think that she recognized when I was on a downward spiral mentally, and I'm gonna let you say what made you think of
Well,
this.
you just,
and
we
why you
had
do
a-
that. I'm gonna pull up the picture.
yeah, we had a lot more conversations about, or we were having the conversation more frequently, that you kept telling me, I can't keep doing this. I don't think I can do this anymore.
Yeah, I was starting to
And-
want to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were like, I'm done. And I'm like, we've come this far. Like, we're not done now. You're still going to walk out of here. I mean, I would say that you really only had that one.
Did you really believe that?
I did. I believed it from the minute you came back from the OR. I mean, I was taking a report from this little girl, and I was like, she's got an AOD, which they said is the internal decapitation. And I was like, oh, no, because I've never had a patient with that survive.
Really?
Never.
Oh, but you have had those patients.
I've had those patients, but I've
Okay.
never had them survive.
Yeah.
Most of the time because they don't want to, because they're already a quad, and inexplicably they made it to the hospital still breathing. But they don't want to live like that. I mean, and that's a choice a lot of people make when they show up a quad. That's a life that they're not.
That's a hell of a
That's a
thing
lot,
to
yeah.
digest like
It is.
that.
I mean, on occasion we have some that are okay with it, and that, you know, but I mean, that's more that they're not than they are. And so she was telling me that you were moving both your arms and both your legs, and I'm like, oh, well, and nobody knows what they're talking about. That's fine. Whatever. And so I walk in, and she is moving both her arms, both her legs, and I'm like, well, obviously she's not got an actual AOD. And so then
Not only did I have one, but I had a really bad
oh
one.
yeah, boy did you. And
Always
so
an overachiever.
oh yeah, again, atypical AF. And so I didn't do much. Took you to the OR. You're there for some time, obviously, and then you came back. And when you were still moving both your arms and your legs, I was like, well, here I am.
And
Well,
I would
I
like
can't
to
let
touch
this
on
not
this
happen.
because you saw it. She doesn't remember this, and she questions me on something. But you remember, she come out of the OR, left-handed, arm up, writing on that board,
Yeah.
clear as day. The next morning, she woke up, elbow down, writing left-handed, clear as day. She
Well, 'cause
woke up
this
the third day,
situation here was all swollen
and she
every
couldn't move
day.
anything
Yeah.
but the fingers. It was projectile vomiting because she thought the arm, her dominant hand was paralyzed. I was like, no, it makes sense that swelling set in, but no, she
I
wasn't buying it.
think of I got choked on drink. I think a part of me, which I don't really remember that, but I know like when I went through my divorce and I started crocheting, that was my mental health. That was my therapy. That's literally what got me through that time. And I guess thinking that I was going to lose the only thing that got me through the worst time of my life, I guess that realization just kind of hit me.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, so, go
But
ahead.
we were talking about how you kept being so sad. Wasn't that what we were talking
Yes.
about?
Well, I started spiraling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but you just were, oh yeah, because like that was your biggest setback, really. And so, I still really, because you said, what did I think you were really ever going to walk out?
Yeah.
I thought it from the very beginning, from the moment when you came back up there, and I was like, well, here we are. I don't even know how this is possible, but whatever. And then we extubated you, and even though you only had a gag on one side, you figured out a way to swallow everything but Diet Coke, and then like you just kept excelling until that.
Till the hydrocephalus.
And then it really just
sent me in a tailspin.
But then you were still so sick, and I will never, and I'm sure Tim and Chris won't either. I will never forget.
I owe
We
them
all
such an
play-
apology.
At least Monday through Wednesday every week, they plan their entire day around when I thought it was the right time for you to do PT that day. Were we going to do you first thing in the morning? Were we going to wait like right before your morning meds so you didn't puke any of those up? Or like we had to plan around when was the best time for you to throw up?
Because it was coming.
It was me holding your bucket or Chris or whoever was in the front and the rest of us trying to hold you up so that you could stand up on that little step stool because you're so
With
short.
one leg.
'Cause you're so short. Lord.
One story that I haven't gotten to tell you yet that's really, really funny. She had been in rehab probably a couple of weeks, and I walked in one morning, asked her dad how everything went, and he said it's fine. He had not slept much, so he left. I said, well, hey, baby girl, how you feeling? She smiled, she held that finger up. She grabbed her orange juice with her right hand, put it in her left hand, and took a drink with it, and looked at me and said, that was one of the cutest things I'd ever seen in my life.
That's funny. I love it.